When I left home to attend university in the UK, I knew I was in for a big change. I moved quite far away from family and friends, leaving behind the familiar comforts of home. Always a social person, this new environment was a challenge for me. My student studio apartment felt empty, and my course had fewer sociable students than I'd expected. Desperate to make friends, I turned to Tinder and Instagram, hoping to connect with like-minded people. However, luck wasn't on my side. Conversations often fizzled out, and it felt like a struggle to find genuine connections. Then, out of nowhere, a ray of hope emerged. A cute girl, Emily, added me on Instagram. I'd linked my Instagram handle in my Tinder bio, and she must have seen it there. She was stunning, and I couldn't believe my luck. We started chatting, and it seemed like we hit it off. She mentioned wanting to meet up, and without much thought, I gave her my address. The excitement of potentially making a new friend overshadowed any reservations I might have had. However, as we continued chatting, something didn't quite add up. Emily's Instagram photos didn't seem to be taken anywhere near the city I was in. Moreover, she was far too attractive to be interested in a guy like me. I noticed that her comments and followers were predominantly men. Doubt crept in, and I began to suspect that I'd given my details to a random catfish account. My anxiety peaked, and I decided to block her immediately. It was the only sensible thing to do. I hoped I dodged a potential scam. But then, things took an even more unsettling turn. Another strikingly attractive girl, Sarah, began messaging me. The conversation started precisely where I'd left off with Emily, as if it had never stopped. Alarm bells rang in my head, and I knew I'd messed up. They had my personal details, including my address. With a heavy heart, I asked Sarah to leave me alone and blocked her as well. But it didn't stop there. Soon after, yet another attractive girl sent me a friend request. By this point, I was fed up. I stopped replying, thinking it best to protect myself. I double-checked that my studio apartment door was locked and went to bed, hoping for a peaceful night's sleep. However, my rest was short-lived. In the dead of night, I heard someone trying to force their way into my room, shouting my name. Panic surged through me, but I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis gripped me, rendering me helpless. I'd experienced sleep paralysis almost every night since being at my new studio. It always happened when I was someplace new, but I never saw or heard anything. The door eventually creaked open, and a strange man entered my room. He rifled through my belongings as I lay there, unable to stop him. My heart raced, and my mind raced even faster, trying to comprehend the whole thing. After what felt like an eternity, the intruder left, shutting the door behind him. My sleep paralysis gradually released its grip, and I awoke in a cold sweat, scanning my room for signs of the intrusion. Everything appeared normal, and I couldn't be sure if anyone had actually broken in. I reported the incident to university security, but they found no evidence of a break-in. I genuinely didn't know if I'd imagined the whole thing. The next chilling discovery was that both the accounts, Emily's and Sarah's, had disappeared entirely. It felt so real. There was absolutely a man in my room going through my stuff. I saw it with my own eyes. I've had sleep paralysis many times, and I was always able to accurately recount what was going on around me, so why would I be wrong this time? I removed my Instagram from my Tinder bio and made sure to barricade my door every night. My social life was pretty much dead for the rest of the year, and I didn't sleep well at all. I used to be an avid Twitter user. It used to be my go-to app for wasting time, scrolling through tweets, and catching up on the latest memes. Over time, I had grown somewhat immune to the occasional creepy direct message. I had learned to ignore them, to just brush them off as part of the experience. One evening, I received a notification about a new follower. It was a name I didn't recognize, and the profile picture was a little blurry, but nothing immediately sent alarm bells ringing. I followed the account back as I usually would and immediately received a message. I decided to open it, even though I was sure it was spam. Inside the DM was a link to another Twitter profile, Secret Tweets. My curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on the link. The profile was filled with a series of photos, each featuring different people seemingly caught off guard. Some were on public transportation, others on park benches, and a few even seemed to be in the privacy of their own homes. What made it weird was that none of these people appeared to be aware they were being photographed. As I continued scrolling through the account, expecting to find crude or inappropriate comments, I was met with an odd sight. The comments on the posts were not what I expected. The comments were all just numbers getting gradually higher and higher, stuff like 700, 750, 800, 1000. This was the same under every single post. People writing slightly larger numbers in reply to the last person. The oddest part of all was that every single account that commented appeared to be spam accounts. No profile pictures, no followers, they were just anonymous accounts with no profile set up. I decided to report the account and sent the link to my friend Becky. Still, I didn't give it too much thought, and I continued with my day, attending classes and getting lost in assignments. It wasn't until later, after school, that Becky finally replied to my message. Her response was a mix of shock and concern, urging me to report it to the police right away. Her reaction bewildered me, and I questioned why she was so alarmed. Her reply was chilling. "Why are you not worried about someone posting pictures of you on their Twitter?" I quickly returned to the profile, my heart racing. Amongst the unsettling images, I found photos of myself, pictures taken without my knowledge while I walked home from college. I remembered seeing a parked car that day, but I didn't think much of it at the time. My heart sank as I realized that the profile had images of me, just like the others, taken without my consent. The same trend was happening under the pictures of me. Faceless accounts writing numbers, 1300, 1400, 1800. I kept refreshing, watching the number replies come through, and that's when it all clicked. 2000, with a $sign next to it. My heart dropped and I refreshed again. The tweet was deleted and replaced with just the number 2000. They were bidding. They were offering payment, but for what? Fear gripped me as I comprehended the gravity of the situation. I reported the account to Twitter and contacted the police, providing every detail I could recall. With trembling hands, I locked myself in my room, talking to Becky over the phone, all while being home alone. Hours crawled by, and when I eventually refreshed the Twitter page, I was met with an unsettling message. "This page does not exist." My heart pounded in my chest. Becky confirmed the same result. To this day, I don't know if Twitter removed it or if the person behind the account deactivated it. The cryptic numbers in the comments remain a mystery. But one thing's for sure, it felt like a twisted setup, and I'm grateful not to know any more about what was happening with that Twitter page. A year ago, I used to post my entire life to Snapchat. It was my go-to app for sharing bits of my life with friends and family. But then something happened that made me reconsider my online presence. One day, out of the blue, I received a friend request from an unfamiliar username. I didn't think much of it at the time and accepted the request without a second thought. It was just another random person, or so I assumed. Months passed, and I forgot about that peculiar friend request. My life went on, and I continued sharing snippets of my daily activities on Snapchat. Little did I know that someone was watching, very closely. It started innocently enough, with an unexpected snap. I opened it, thinking it was probably a friend sharing a funny meme or a cute pet photo. But as the image loaded, my heart skipped a beat. It was an eerie, edited version of an old Snapchat story I had posted months ago. Floating love hearts surrounded the image, and the caption read, "Can't wait to see you." The chill running down my spine was hard to ignore. How did someone get access to my old stories? Who was behind this? Days turned into weeks, and more edited snaps kept arriving. Each one featured pictures taken from my past stories. The captions became increasingly unsettling, referring to my personal life. "How was your McDonald's on Friday?" And another said, "I loved that movie you watched last night." The sense of being watched was inescapable. I felt exposed and vulnerable, as though a stranger had invaded my privacy. It wasn't long before I decided to check Snap Maps, the feature that lets you see the real-time locations of your friends. My heart raced as I zoomed in on the map. There it was, a bit too close for comfort, the location of this creep. He was nearby, and the thought sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary prank or trolling. It felt personal, like someone was playing mind games with me. Fear gripped me as I realized the mysterious friend was getting closer to my location. I knew I had to act fast. I began taking screenshots of the disturbing snaps for evidence. Then, I contacted the local authorities and reported the unsettling situation. The investigation that followed uncovered the identity of the creep. To my shock, it turned out to be someone I met at a party months ago. I'd been warned about how creepy and weird he was. He would just invite himself to parties and nobody wanted to be rude and kick him out, so we just tolerated him. To be fair, I had no issue with him and spoke with him a little bit throughout the night, but didn't see much of him. I guess being nice to the social outcast when everyone else kept him at arm's length was enough for him to become obsessed with me. They didn't end up charging him with anything, but they told him to leave me alone and explained to me that I could get a restraining order, but it seemed pointless.